Hey guys, welcome to Bubbleman's World. We are here in downtown Vancouver. We got our special guest, Brenden Dabs, in the house from Dablicious.
How's it going?
We got many Dablicious stickers, so of course we're going to show you one. And of course Horatio is in the house as well.
What's going on?
We're here at the, what is this, the Cannabis Economy Conference?
That's what it is.
Yeah. Is that the name of it? It's definitely a unique type of conference. It's happening right below us here. I could show you later on with the camera. We're kind of on this little rooftop terrace, and it's quite private, and it's all round table events. It's been different for sure, somewhat interesting. There's a little bit of one-on-ones going on, but I have to say the most interesting conversation that I've heard since I've been here was the conversation we were all just having about terpenes and the modulating effects and how we've all come to learn about these different things. And that's why I wanted to turn the camera on, hoping that we would have a little bit more of that conversation, give you guys a little introduction to this event that we're at. There are no cameras being brought in, but we'll still end up having a couple more sessions before it's all said and done. So why don't we just have a few dabs and maintain our conversation that we were...
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take long before we're like, terpenes, danger. We know you all want them because you see us with them, but why are we acting so conservative now that we've experienced them?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing for any public to swallow.
I think you have a strong voice in this because you work with the terpene delimiting. And one of the first things you mentioned to me at your house, which was not something that most people would have mentioned, I think they would have tried to sweep it under the rug, but when I was asking you know, how you would remove this orange liquid from your clear liquid and then brought it back to a clear liquid, we were talking about what's in that orange liquid, and you know, the sort of politically correct, or not politically correct, but the sort of, you know, the business savvy, let's protect my own ass person would have said it in a way like, oh, those are the citrus oils that are not delimiting. And one of the first things he said was, that's like the mystery oil, that's whatever it is. I mean, it could be from this plastic gasket that the delimiting comes in, and you were really aware that terpenes can be caustic. They can literally break.
You gotta... I met somebody downstairs at this conference, and they're like, we extract with hexane. And I'm like, that's funny. I extract with cyclohexane. He's like, what's cyclohexane? And I'm like, oh, it's called delimiting. I extract with a solvent stronger than you, and I understand why you extract with hexane for medical purposes, not for recreational dabs.
Right.
And the amounts that I'm working with, he's really happy with how clean he can get his product in the end. And I'm like, you know as well as I do how much stronger hexane is than typical light hydrocarbons. He's like, yep. And I'm like, well, then you have a perspective on how powerful limonene is, and it's just one in an array of potential things. So if you don't respect it in the same, like basically you have liquid butane. It's that powerful of a, hey, is that givable? I'll just take all of that rubber and incorporate it into myself. If you don't respect it in that way,
Right.
you can get really fucked up. So the fact that I take clear, got the red, I'm like, all of this red was invisible, and everyone said that was clean, delimiting. It was food grade. And I'm like, smell this. You know, if you put this in your body, it ain't good.
It is the craziest thing. I don't know if you saw the video when I went to Horatio's. It's called Horatio's Inner Sanctum, and he brings me into his place and he shows me a variety of things, but it is the most powerful thing you can see. He's got clear liquid in a jar, and it's delimiting, and it is not distilled or not cleaned yet.
It's just food grade.
It's just food grade.
Right.
So then, out of that, through his own processes, he's extracted this nasty orangish red liquid that came out of the clear, and then he was left with clear again. The two clears, they look the same. They both look clear, like water. And then in the middle, he's got this jar of like, and it's bad. It's like he even showed it to me when he allowed it to dry right out into a cake. Or into a
waxy.
It just does not
polymer. Yeah, almost like a plastic.
It looks so nasty, dude, that it was just like, it's a very powerful lesson for people to, no matter what process you are doing, because of course in our community we support a variety of processes. I'm known as a solventless guy. I love the solventless quiver, but we have friends that that run hydrocarbons. Both of these guys are in that list. D-limonene and butane. You use what else other than butane?
I use just butane.
Butane, but then you also do water extraction.
I do water
You're not a
extraction
one-trick
as well.
pony.
No.
Which is what we're trying to kind of promote more and more and more. Horatio is also not a one-trick pony. He makes incredible dry sift. I know that he has the ability to make water hash. He makes his D-limonene extracts. He makes all of his purified THCAs and the terpene extractions. So we're not trying to promote any one thing over the other as much as really it seems like the mission today and from now on is to unveil and uncover as many of the footprints that are leaving behind negative aspects in any of our extraction processes,
right.
Whether it's molds from water, whether it's rubber gaskets from D-limonene that hasn't been cleaned properly, whether it's mercaptines present in dirty butane that was bought in low-quality cans at a grocery store. These are things that need to be discussed, and if we can stop sort of dividing ourselves from one another and sit down as a group, which we're doing right now, it sort of moves it forwards the conversation in a greater way, in my opinion.
We all learn from each other, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, everyone always forgets. I'm like, you understand, butane created me. I didn't understand boiling points in it. It was all through the rise of that era. That's kind of why, like, when we ever get a chance to shoot the next series of videos, I'm going to go through a whole nother side of contamination that has nothing to do with principle.
Swing on the way.
The principal names, like, is butane bad? I'm like, no, butane isn't bad. We all know we've smoked a joint and we can huff that. Now, there are other ways in which if butane is run in this way, if this filter isn't cleaned often, really the underside of bad extraction artists, you know, people who, we always hear the situation, well, it was a closed loop, but why did it blow up? Oh, they never replaced their gaskets. And I'm like, well,
that is literally comparable to the simplicity of cleaning your water with a water filtration system, and it becomes a wonderful thing while you're replacing your filters. And the minute you stop, and I've talked to Addison about this the other day, is that now you are we're always concentrating. That's what we're doing. So when you all of a sudden stop removing that filter, what you're doing is you're still concentrating.
As that thing's breaking down, I'm like, where did it go? That rendered into the oil. You've been getting rid of your filter. As soon as it starts to break down, it's no good. It's no different than maybe all the mold is coming from not establishing proper protocols for bag cleanup immediately after use. That's probably, the mold isn't even in the grow half the time.
Mold is everywhere. It's like floating around.
But the last row surfaces, I'm like, if the weed was clean, if someone was really thought they did their best, how could they fuck it up? I'm like, it would be that they didn't know how to clean their bags
properly.
They know what everybody knows and everyone's learned, but what do you do in a pinch? What do you do when you're under the gun? Do you need to clean it with alcohol but throw it in the dryer? Is that a way to basically addressing this new world where individual users are becoming producers?
I think commercial level extractions, I mean, the bags were originally really, for the personal user. They were never something that was supposed to be set up for commercial production. You can produce commercially with them, of course, but it gets back to that, are there small little bits and pieces that are getting caught in the screen? Like, I think a stainless steel screen with many hundreds of gallons, the mixers that go down into the V, the conical cones. Those are like things that you can run 25 or 50 pounds at a time. You figure out your thrashing versus how much material is there versus water and ice, and you can really basically get it down so you're getting your extraction ratio on point. You're not wasting
consistent.
You're becoming consistent. But I don't think that'll be done in stainless steel vats with chillers and
I do like things that can tolerate fire.
Yeah.
I do like glass. It might kill me, but I can always torch it.
You can fly to Jamaica with a pair of brand new bags and then leave them behind to someone to have a little, some opportunities.
Yeah, it's just,
You gotta be careful with what you leave behind because there's no way that the majority of people are cleaning their bags the way I clean my bags.
I don't think the majority of people the thing is, people end up joining the, we talked a lot today about the gray market, this new spirit where anyone can become good. Some grower could find out he has the gift in bubble hash because he grew the right strain.
Sure.
And now he becomes the dude and Instagram blows up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean he came up in a culture in which he's learned the rules to provide for people.
They're very different things.
And so he was good when it was all between 10 and 50 grams. But as things go up, as fatigue goes up, as you start getting secondary employees, everything. What do you mean you didn't clean it? Well, we gotta go. Capping it.
Yeah.
It's a new. I think a lot of people have become caught up by joining some level of production industry that's beyond the personal and the homie. You can poison yourself. You can poison your homie. You can punch your back. But as soon as you could say money gets involved, there's a different karma.
Very
It's true.
There's a different karma completely.
Especially when, and I talked about this a variety of ways, that we're in this gray area of removing ourselves from what I call the prohibition-based dollar, the profit margin that exists based on prohibition, based on, I can make money on this because if he gets caught with it, he's doing 20 years. Wow, that's a great profit margin. But it's a totally horrible profit to make. You know what I mean? I like the idea of cannabis becoming more of a positive profit margin where, it is medicinal, it is fun, recreational, it is preventative, it does have incredible value, so let's charge a little bit of money for that, but what we give them in return, the people that are paying for this, is standards, is the highest quality of standards so that they can acquire the safest, best quality medicine or recreational preventative product that they could possibly access. And that's where the profit margin, in my opinion, it's a great profit margin.
That's a great profit margin.
You know what I mean? It's based on you trading standards for your profit. Not Brenden doing 20 years.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things about trading that, basically, that's kind of why we get in these arguments about medical, because medical always kind of says, well, it means standards, doesn't it? Where recreation means pew-pew and whatever people like, and is I can get away with right now, which is a shifting.
What about Ken's what he said today? The guy at our table, instead of medical or recreational, he said I like to refer to it as over the counter.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought
that was a unique.
Because everything, pretty
dude.
much everything that you can be sold over the counter has a guaranteed do not harm innate within it that you can trust. It's when the guy gives you a prescription that, listen, this stuff's fucked up. You can get fucked. Don't eat more than 2 in a day.
Right.
So that over the counter trust means, look, this has been, you kind of stake your karma on it as a brand. And I like the fact that everyone says, I got my standards and it doesn't fuck up my chest, but depending on where your medicine is going, your standards have to meet where it's going, not yourself. Because I can be a man that has a generation of smokers that we're just going to take it.
Yeah.
It's not burning my chest. And
but that's
always a trickle down bullshit. I'm like, no. If you got to interact with your dispensaries, where's this being used? Is anybody old using this? Is this being used for palliative care?
Yeah.
Because if so, then maybe these lipids or whatever else in my product is doing harm. Again, where for my buddies, it's fine. They're young and they can choose what they want to choose and they like it. I think there's got to be a choice level and a jump in responsibility, because anything that could be provided over the counter, you can pretty much sue if it hurts you.
Yeah.
And sue big time. And we don't have that here. You're lucky if you can bring back some weed that cuts your throat.
Well, it's crazy, all the regulations on cannabis, and they're comparing it to alcohol, and I'm just like, so this has like 0 LD50. I don't know what the LD50 for alcohol is, but it can't be that high. Alcohol's pretty
It depends on the person.
Definitely kills people.
It depends on the person. It can be pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. So it's insane that we compare it to what I would consider one of the most, I don't want to say dangerous, but I guess it is linked to so many deaths, alcohol, in so many different ways, through car accidents or through spousal abuse or through liver damage or there's so many different roads that lead back to death with alcohol, that it's incredible that we could be discussing like, oh, well, how many milligrams should we allow? It's like, no minimum, like just whatever people want. Like if people will buy 10,000 milligram treats, then make people 10,000 milligram treats. Like, why do you want to make them eat 10,000 milligrams or worse? Like, what was that guy saying? 10 milligrams?
Yeah, he just wanted to do.
That's just over the top, bro.
Yeah, the senator guy, he was like, I think we should keep it to 10. Okay, maybe 10. So you can have 100 in your possession at a time. Basically, it was like 100 milligrams would be your maximum gorge.
Yeah, but like
binge. That would be binge consumption.
Even baby MJ in the hospital here in Vancouver is currently taking, I believe, 1,000 milligrams
Absolutely,
a day.
Yeah. So look at that and think of what he thinks is binging.
She was just prematurely born, and she has all sorts of problems with her. It's a pretty heavy story that's going on here right now. the hospital sort of took over, and they took possession of the child through Child Family Services, and then they said that they were going to decide that they were going to take this child off of the ventilator, which would have been maybe a death sentence for the child, saying that, it's going to have cerebral palsy and all these other problems. Well, the young couple that are the parents, they fought it, got a court injunction, are giving the baby cannabis oil because she has seizures. It's one of her problems, and it's helping alleviate.
And I think that's one thing that that I really noticed about this conference is that I think a lot of the people that the legislatures that we were getting a chance to talk to really have no idea about these things that we're talking about, like setting these limits of, hey, a 10 milligram or 100 milligrams is all you're allowed to be able to have. I think they have no idea about these cases that you're talking about.
How can you do that?
You're a chance to talk to them.
It's like limiting research. That's exactly what it is. That's limiting medical research. We don't know how much it's going to take to potentially solve spasms in someone who's been shot. Don't tell me.
What we do know
don't
is
treat it like alcohol.
We know that everyone down there said over and over and over again that it's all about the patients. But I didn't really see any patients invited to speak. I think it would have been good to have the patient perspective and potentially get that really unique, a few really unique. Get the Colton Turners.
Bring in some guest speakers.
Get the Jessica Hawkins or the Naya Hawkins.
Just to kind of get a real story on what they're actually.
A real powerful story that is unmutable. It's unarguable.
That's the future. They need to be told what needs to be done. I'm not getting the regulations that makes this accessible to everyone like me. I'm not getting the quality of medicine that my physical body needs. I need more. Yes, I can trust cannabis, but I cannot trust all the in-between parties.
And the bottom line is, it's a benign herb that has no LD50. So on both of those sides of the coin, one, that there are people, children in particular, that are extremely sick and suffering, that need much higher doses than the doses that these regulators are even considering, and that on the other side of that there is no LD50 for cannabis, that there is no detrimental dose, that the worst thing that you can have is just a bummer feeling. It's like, I ate too much, and people
and there's things that counteract
that's kind of why we're so anal about what is, because the thing is, it's not cannabis, it's what's on, it's what can get in, it's what can get passed through. So it's really a defense of the plant to find. I'm like, there's no LD50 for cannabis, but there is for what some humans spray on it.
But the unique thing about cannabis, unlike any other substance you can name, is that cannabis comes with its own protection agency, which is these nucleation points in the lungs, these non-polar components that protect the lungs. I mean,
That's how we got here so far.
I couldn't understand it for years when people were smoking the thick paper with the glue on it, and just and I was just like, Steve Cubby was smoking like ounces of weed a day, and I was like, dude, that can't be good for you. And then he went and got his lungs tested at some crazy place in California, and they were telling him that he had the lungs of like a young athlete. And he was like 48 years old or something at the time. So it made me realize, it was before I knew about, Jim Frere and him talking about what I just literally mentioned about the nucleation points and the nonpolar components. It really made sense to me when I learned that, and it made me realize, wow, that's really an important factor for the BHO community or any community using nonpolar components, to make sure that you remove your noxious plant waxes, that your product now no longer has a safety net to protect you from. So that's huge. Just get rid of those noxious plant waxes if you're going to use a non-polar component, because you won't have polar components present that are the nucleation points in your lungs that do protect us from papers and glues and all these nasty things that are in cannabis, that somehow it's incredible.
I totally get you, because it's not like there's a whole side of us that I clearly smoke cigarettes with it and wouldn't live without it, and I wonder sometimes, for the lifestyle I lived, I'm like, you saying the fucking cannabis protected me from the cigarettes, the alcohol, the boozing, the toxins on the cannabis, the fucking shit it was handed to me with, and I'm like, for the amount of things I rely on today that should have fallen apart from my current lifestyle, which is working to death in all these new realms, I'm like, you know what, I would have died even now without cannabis, and probably back then. So never take my paranoia for the baby who clearly can't take coughing up a lung right now, for the fact that, yes, cannabis does protect us against the shitty things we've done to cannabis, but in pushing medicine, because what if there is that 10,000 milligram dose, we can't let those contaminants also move with the current trends to then ruin cannabis again. And I don't want to find out Mr. World does leave permanent harm. So let's get it out of there before we ever get to a job big enough that we concentrate too much of it and hurt a kid or kill a kid because she convulsed. Still should run out of air.
You know what? We're gonna pause it on that. Incredible dialogue as always. Great to sit down with these guys, and you guys are gonna see more of this. This is just the first little part. We've got to get down to our next round table event in 15 minutes, so probably a few off-camera dabs, and yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, back here at Brenden Dabb's hotel room. We're just about to go down and watch Horatio speak on the stage down there on the Rooftop Terrace, and he just showed up with some
Terp champagne.
some Terp champ.
Good morning.
Yay!
Sorry.
Hey, that's okay, Allison. You're in the picture too. You're in the video.
Kick your cups. We're so late.
Oh, this is so good. You guys don't even know. We're having Terp champagne.
For breakfast. For breakfast.
Oh yeah.
This is so
Look,
exciting.
Terps.
Thank you so much.
You brought some in. I think I actually brought some and I just based on
So,
my
can I
bag.
ask you, how is this going to make me feel? What
Well,
should
none
I
of-
expect?
Well, none of us are smoking, so it shouldn't.
We did smoke.
Then it might modulate something.
We were doing some rosin dabs.
Well, this is.
I've only had this one time, but it was really lovely.
I saw the.
Oh, and the rosin is protected.
Look at that. That's awesome. Serious carbonation terp juice right there. See the way the bubbles stack? It's very important how the bubbles stack.
Gotta stack them. All right, we'll just have to glurg this and get out of here.
Glurgit.
That is awesome.
So funny. Here's the napkin.
Okay.
All right, well, here's a toast.
Can I have baby? Can I have baby?
This is great.
turbans?
I don't know what you mean. Is that the cup?
I'm kidding.
All right, look at that, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Give thanks, Horatio and the Terps, and of course, the beautiful cannabis.
It smells amazing.
It smells amazing.
And it tastes really lovely and light.
Isn't that nice?
It's really
Yeah,
nice.
that's really good.
Very carbonated and very delicious.
Great way to start it.
That's better than morning coffee.
It's pretty tasty.
You throw some sweet skunk terps in there.
This
Yeah,
one
we
was Chemo Kush
Chemo Kush.
with a little bit of My Little Pony.
I always love My Little Pony.
All right, well, there it is. There we have it.
Great way to start.
We're gonna head down and watch Horatio talk. We can't film any of it, but we'll come and have a session later and talk to you guys.